We're back with another full UFC card breakdown. And this weekend, the UFC returns to Oklahoma City for the first time in nearly a decade. We've got 12 fights, a last-minute matchup between two underdog prospects, and several fighters making their UFC debuts. Some extremely talented young individuals and contenders, and a main event between two former UFC champions and one of the greatest of all time. Dricus Du Plessis takes on Kamaru Usman at middleweight, and the fight could have a massive implications for both guys. Usman is moving back to 185 at 39 years old, while Dricus Du Plessis is attempting to rebuild after losing to Khamzat Chimaev and getting crucified 47 times. Before we reach that fight, though, I'm breaking down every single matchup from the opening preliminary fight through the main event. I'm going to explain each fighter's strengths, weaknesses, and pathway to success. And then I'll give you my winner at the end of each fight. Let's get into it. I don't even know if they had this picture up yet because it just got announced. Oh, they got it. They got it. All right, our first card, prelim. We're beginning it with a fight that was added at the last possible moment. Damian Anderson and Ezra Elliott are both making their UFC debuts. Both remain undefeated and both accepted this fight on approximately 4 days' notice. That's pretty crazy. Anderson is 5-0 while Elliott is 7-0, and neither fighter has ever needed the judges as a professional. That's good because the UFC judges like Herb Dean are absolutely horrible. Just ask Alex Pereira. He just is suffering from brain damage because he was hit in the back of the head too many times. But every one of their combined victories is 12 combined victories between the two, and knockouts and submissions only. Anderson is a dangerous grappler from Texas who normally fights at bantamweight. He has an extensive submission grappling background and is coming off of a knee bar victory over Hondo Gutierrez. His leg attacks are something Elliott will have to respect immediately. Anderson is comfortable creating chaotic scenarios because he trusts himself to find a submission from unusual positions. Elliott is an Arizona fighter. In this matchup, he trains at the MMA lab and he spent time working alongside Sean O'Malley, Tim Welch, and he has 5 submission victories and 2 knockouts, including a first round stoppage in May. Sorry, guys. The significant factor is that Elliott is a natural featherweight. Anderson is moving up from bantamweight, so Elliott may possess the size and strength advantage once they begin clinching and scrambling around. But this is also a 4-day notice fight between two UFC newcomers. Neither man has completed a full camp, and neither has experienced the pressure of fighting inside of the octagon. This could become a technical grappling match, or all that nervous energy is going to potentially create an absolute chaotic firefight. The biggest question is whether Anderson's more specified submissions can overcome Elliott's size and more balanced MMA attack. For my first pick of the night, I'm going to pick Ezra Elliott, getting a win for the MMA lab under Sean O'Malley, Tim Welch, and following suit of another guy that's on this card under the camp. They got another guy. They got Tommy Guns on this camp also. So I think Ezra's going to get this victory. Then we got Anna Meliciano and Diona Barbosa. Meliciano accepted this fight after Veronica Hardy had to withdraw because of injury in camp. She enters with a 6-1 professional record and was Michael Bisping's first selection on the most recent Ultimate Fighter. I don't know if you guys watched that, but it was decent. Meliciano is long for the division and prefers to fight from the outside, using her stiff jab and her long kicks to control distance. When opponents enter the pocket, she can also throw knees and elbows, Muay Thai style, from the clinch. The problem is that Barbosa may be one of the most difficult possible opponents for someone to make a short notice UFC debut against. Barbosa is a former Brazilian national level judo, whatever. She's physically strong in the clinch and possesses powerful trips and throws, and extremely dangerous when she gains top position. Barbosa enters with a 9-4 record and has won 3 of her last 5 UFC appearances. Her last fight was a decision victory over Melissa Gana in April. Melissa's best chance may be keeping the fight at long range, constantly moving and forcing Barbosa to shoot or clinch from too far away. Barbosa's pathway is much more directly pressure towards the fence, close the distance, and turn this into a physical grappling fight. The moment they lock up and clinch should tell us a lot. We'll see who's more powerful and we'll see who has the strength. My winner in this matchup, I'm going to go with Anna Meliciano. I think Michael Bisping had a good pick. She looked good on the Ultimate Fighter, and I'm going to pick her to win her debut. Next, we have Richard R.J. Harris and Alvin Hines. That's another heavyweight fight. Richard R.J. Harris makes his UFC debut with an undefeated 5-0 record. Alvin Hines is 7-1, is attempting to rebound from a first loss of his entire career. Harris is a legitimate giant. He's listed at 6'6" and approximately 260 pounds. Dude had to cut weight just to get into heavyweight. His entire style is based on making opponents deal with how big he is. He uses a long lead hand to establish distance, but when opponents change inside, Harris frequently grabs the neck and threatens standing guillotines. Those guillotines are not just submission attempts. They force shorter opponents to carry his weight, discourage them from entering the pocket recklessly. Hines is also around 260 pounds, but he's shorter, less reach, stockier, and more comfortable boxing at close range. He throws relatively straightforward punches, combinations, and possesses legitimate power and can mix in the wrestling a little bit. Hines lost his UFC debut to Dinas, but there were encouraging moments. He didn't look terrible. I mean, he remained competitive, managed his energy better than expected, and appeared to be a fresher fighter in the final round. The fight may come down to who controls the distance. If Harris keeps Hines at the end of his punches and makes him carry weight in the clinch, his enormous frame becomes a serious weapon. If Hines consistently gets inside without exposing his neck, he may be able to attack the body, wrestle, and force the taller man to work in an uncomfortable pace. It's heavyweight MMA, though. One clean punch could make the entire technical breakdown completely irrelevant. I'm going to go with R.J. Harris with a first-round KO, and Alvin Hines is on a two-loss streak. And it's heavyweight, and heavyweight just hasn't been very good lately. I'm going to be honest with you. Our next fight is going to be Alden Correa and Stuart Nickel. Alden Correa enters the fight with a 12-3 record and a perfect 2-0 start in the UFC. Dude's electric. Stuart Nickel enters at 8-3, but all three of those losses have occurred since he joined the UFC, which stinks. Correa is a longtime training partner of the current flyweight champion Joshua Van, and you can see similarities in their approach. Correa throws sharp, accurate combinations, but he is not simply a striker. His wrestling and grappling are extremely elite, and he possesses the ability to change phases whenever an opponent begins finding success on the feet. He's also a taller, rangier frame than many fighters at the 125-pound division, and understands how to use it. Nickel's UFC record does not fully show the talent that he possesses. He's a smooth offensive boxer who throws well while moving forward, and he demonstrates dangerous wrestling and submissions before reaching the UFC. However, his wrestling has not translated. Consistently against UFC competition, he went 2 for 20 on takedowns against Lucas Rocha. That's ridiculous. Come on. And has sometimes placed himself in bad positions, feeling unsuccessful, forcing unsuccessful entries. For Nickel, this is like the fight for his UFC career. You don't really get more than 3 losses before Dana cuts you. He cannot afford to chase takedowns carelessly, allowing Correa to establish an easy rhythm. He needs to make Correa uncomfortable early and prove that he can win the striking exchanges without becoming predictable. Correa's challenge is avoiding complacency against his opponent, whose UFC record may make him appear less threatening. I'm going to go with Alden Correa here. I think he's going to get the victory. It's probably going to be, I don't know if it's going to be a finish, but we'll see it. We'll see. It could be crazy. It could be crazy. Now we got at light heavyweight, we got Levi Rodriguez Jr. versus Felipe Franco. Levi Rodriguez Jr. enters with a 5-0 record and 1 no contest. Felipe Franco enters at 10-2. Rodriguez originally earned a victory on Dana White Contender Series, but that result was overturned following a failed drug test. He now returns after nearly a year away. Rodriguez is a large, powerful light heavyweight who likes moving forward and throwing heavy punches. He does not possess the fastest footwork, but if he gets an opponent moving forward, physically pressure becomes difficult to manage. Franco's returning to his natural weight class after making his UFC debut at heavyweight against Mario Pinto. Despite giving away significant size and accepting the fight on shorter notice, Franco competed better than his record may suggest. He trains alongside Jelly Almeida, and that influence is easy to recognize. Franco throws large hooks to close the distance, to transition into trips, body locks, and takedowns. Once he reaches top position, he applies heavy pressure, throws ground and pound, and looks for the back. When his opponent attempts to escape, the fight may be determined on who's physically stronger inside the clinch and who has better cardio. I mean, it's light heavyweight and heavyweight. It's all about who has better cardio. Rodriguez wants to pressure Franco and punish him with power. Franco may welcome that aggression because it gives him opportunities to change levels and initiate grappling exchanges. Rodriguez is undefeated but has limited professional experience. Franco has fought more frequently and has already experienced UFC level adversaries. I think Levi Rodriguez loses this fight, and I'm going to blame ring rust and coming back and not being able to juice up anymore. I think Felipe Franco is the underdog here, and he takes the victory. I'm going to take Felipe Franco here in this fight. Next, we got Yan Pan Lobosimbi, and Seokian Ko. Sorry. This might be one of the most underrated fights on the card. Yan Paul enters at 10-2 and is 1-0 in the UFC. Ko is 13-2 and has won both of his UFC appearances. Yan is a compact, powerful welterweight with a high work rate. His striking is relatively straightforward, but his athleticism allows him to cover distance quickly. Once he lands a takedown, he becomes relentless. He applies pressure, forces scrambles, and makes opponents repeatedly work back to their feet, wearing them down. He defeated an extremely tall and difficult Philip Rowe in his last appearance, producing a performance that was more convincing than the split decision scorecard suggested. Ko is nicknamed the Korean Tyson, but he's more than a powerful puncher. His offensive wrestling has become one of the most effective weapons that he possesses. Once opponents begin reacting to his punches, Ko changes levels and gets a takedown. Interesting enough, Ko also defeated Philip Rowe in his most recent fight. Ko largely controlled Rowe and willingly engaged him in the area where Rowe is often most dangerous, on the feet. That matchup places two similar fighters against one another. Both men are physically powerful, both enjoy boxing in the pocket, both mix their striking with offensive wrestling, and both have already proven that they can manage difficult grappling situations. The difference between may compose that Lebasinia often creates chaos and attempts to overwhelm opponents. Ko tends to appear more measured and personally disciplined. I'm going to go with Ko here with a KO victory in the second round. I think Ko just possesses too much power. Now we got the featured prelim. Austin Bashi versus Yogomel Delgado at featherweight. This is a sick fight. Austin Bashi is 14-1, while Jose Miguel Delgado is 11-2. Both these guys are talented featherweight prospects who have already experienced the first UFC losses and successfully responded to it. They've already both come back. Bashi's only 24 and he's maybe one of the best UFC grapplers at 145 pounds. He attacks takedowns aggressively, but he's most dangerous when fights become chaotic. He thrives in scrambles, finds dominant positions, and constantly makes his opponents defend. Bashi's striking remains less development part of his game. He is frequently shorter than his opponents, and he can struggle when someone uses length, calf kicks, and jabs against wrestling to keep him on the outside. This is exactly why Delgado is such a difficult matchup, because Delgado is taller, rangier, and possesses the skills of sharp kickboxing. He attacks from distance, uses kicks effectively, and has enough grappling ability to avoid becoming helpless once Bashi initiates a scramble. Delgado rebounds from the UFC loss by defeating veteran Andre Fili, and it was a really good fight. It was a really, really good fight with Andre Touchy Fili. Bashi rebounded from his first career defeat by overwhelming John Yanis in the opening round. That was crazy, dude. The fight will likely determine the type of scramble Delgado creates. If Bashi competes a takedown, settles in the controlling position, he can dictate the entire fight. 3 rounds of just wet blanket. If Delgado immediately builds back into the base, gets up and builds his feet back up, and he attacks submissions or turns every takedown into a wild transition, Bashi may spend considerable energy trying to get him down. This is an extremely competitive prospect versus prospect matchup, and the winner could begin moving toward the featherweight rankings. I'm going to pick Austin Bashi here. I think he overwhelms Jose Delgado, and he's going to get a second round victory with just ground and pound. Main card, baby. Main card. Oklahoma City. Got Tommy Guns McMillan versus Albert Montez. This is going to be a crazy fight. Opening the main card. McMillan enters at 10-0 and is another fighter connected to Sean O'Malley and Tim Walsh at the MMA Lab, baby. He's tall, athletic, and explosive. For the featherweight division, he's willing to attack aggressively, throw power, and create unpredictable exchanges. The concern is that aggression can occasionally be reckless. McMillan can leave openings while entering the pocket and rely on his athletic ability to escape positions that a more experienced fighter could avoid. Montez enters with a 12-1 record and is one of the most dangerous submission specialists on the card. 7 of his professional victories and one of the most have come by submission. His front headlock attacks are particularly dangerous, and opponents had to be extremely careful when shooting takedowns or ducking underneath his punches. Montez's only professional loss came by knockout, which makes McMillan power a different obvious concern for him. At the same time, McMillan's willingness to charge forward could present Montez with opportunities to grab the neck and sink in a submission in one of his shows. This is a classic matchup, dude. I'm excited for this one. It's going to be crazy. McMillan wants to keep Montez reacting to his speed, size, and power. And Montez wants one technical mistake that allows him to grab the neck. I think Tommy McMillan's going to bring it to him. It's probably going to be a decision. Let's go Tommy McMillan with a decision on this fight. And it's going to be potential fight of the night contender. Then we got Tabitha Ricci, Baby Shark Ricci, versus Fatima Klein, women's strawweight. This is an important fight in the women's strawweight division. Tabitha Ricci is ranked 8th and enters with a 12-4 record, and Fatima Klein is ranked 11th and enters at 9-1. Ricci is only 5'1", but she's repeatedly overcome significant size disadvantages. She has a strong judo and Brazilian jiu-jitsu background, closed distance effectively, and is comfortable turning fights into heavy clinics. Heavy battles, dude. Ricci's experience is also important. She has faced multiple ranked opponents and understands how to close rounds through takedowns, pressure and potential, and just positional control, score points. Klein is 5 inches taller and owns approximately a 6-inch reach advantage. She's younger, longer, and more athletic, and her striking has continued to improve. Klein throws more volume from the outside, works effectively behind a straight punch to avoid immediate surrender in the fight, and opponent closes the distance. The key question is whether Klein can maintain her preferred range. Ricci will not spend 15 minutes trading a distance with a much longer fighter. She will attempt to enter behind combinations, reach the body lock, and put Klein on the ground or against the fence. Klein must punish those entries without becoming so worried about the takedowns when she stops throwing. If Ricci begins completing her takedowns, getting her on the fence, I'm going to pick Tabitha Ricci here with a decision victory over Klein. She retains her positioning in her division. Then we got Chase Hooper, Chase the Gooner Hooper, and Mitch Ramirez at lightweight. Chase Hooper returns in a matchup that feels extremely important for both of these guys. Hooper enters with a 16-5-1 record, has suffered consecutive knockout losses. Tough to see. I love a big Chase Hooper fan. His grappling remains his greatest weapon. Hooper is active in nearly every position, attacks submissions during transitions, and can quickly take down an opponent once a scramble happens. He's made legitimate improvements to his striking throughout his UFC career. However, those recent losses expose some continuing defensive problems. Hooper can reach without punches, leave his chin exposed, and become vulnerable to a KO. Ramirez enters at 8-3 and is searching for his first UFC victory. He possesses the power to threaten Hooper on the feet and should understand that keeping this fight standing proves his clearest opportunity. The challenge for Ramirez is preventing Hooper from converting any clinch exchange into takedown or back take. Hooper does not need to traditional wrestler exchanges. He frequently needs only one awkward scramble to win the entire fight. End up on your back and you're like, what the fuck happened? How did he get here? For Hooper, discipline is everything for Chase. He should not feel obligated to prove that he can stand and bang with these guys. For Ramirez, patience is equally important. Chasing a knockout too aggressively could allow Hooper underneath his punches and directly into a grappling exchange Ramirez wants to avoid. This fight may be decided whether Hooper can safely cross into the striking into the takedowns or if Ramirez is going to be patient. I'm going to pick Chase Hooper here with a decision victory, and the Gooner is back on top, baby. And we got another good fight, man. This card is actually quite stacked. If you know ball, we got Jared Cannonier versus Christian Leroy Duncan, middleweight, in the co-main event. We have a major generational test in middleweight. Jared Cannonier is 42 years old, ranked 10th, and has an 18-9 record. Christian Leroy Duncan is 30, ranked 12th, enters at 14-2 and riding a 4-fight winning streak. Duncan is a taller, younger, and more mobile fighter. He uses creative kicks, stance switches, and long-range attacks to prevent opponents from settling into a rhythm. He also begins showing more maturity. He's been locking it in, mixing his flashy offense with better distance management and decision making. His recent winning streak includes knockouts over Eric Anders and Marco Tulio, followed a decision victory over Roman Dolidze. Cannonier remains one of the most physical, powerful fighters in the middleweight division. He has heavy low kicks, dangerous counters, and enough knockout power that Duncan can't afford to become careless with his experience spinning kicks. I mean, the dude's going to throw random stuff from random areas. Cannonier also possesses considerably more experience against championship-level opponents. He has shared the octagon with Israel Adesanya, Robert Whittaker, Sean Strickland, and several other elite middleweights. The obvious age is an issue. At 42, Cannonier is being asked to deal with a mobile opponent who is 12 years younger. Duncan will likely attempt to make Cannonier reset repeatedly, attack from long range, and force the veteran to follow him around the cage. Cannonier's pathway is cutting off the octagon rather than chasing. He must attack Duncan's legs, pressure responsibly, and make the young fighter pay whenever he can, when he gets too comfortable. Duncan's challenge is respecting Cannonier without becoming too passive. If he spends the entire fight circling and throwing strong single strikes, Cannonier's heavy movement can steal the rounds. Point victories. Cannonier is known for the point victories. The matchup should reveal whether Cannonier can make another run in this division inside the top 10 or if Duncan's ready to become a legitimate middleweight contender. I'm going to pick Jared Cannonier here. I think he vets him out and gets a decision victory. Now, with our main event of the evening, Oklahoma City main event, Dricus Du Plessis versus Kamaru Usman. This is a tough one. Two former UFC champions. One defended his belt a lot. Dricus Du Plessis enters at 23-3 and is currently ranked second in middleweight. Kamaru Usman enters at 21-4. He's returning to middleweight after spending nearly his entire UFC career dominating the welterweight division. Both men have a 76-inch reach, but Dricus is a naturally larger fighter. He has spent his career competing at 185 pounds, while Usman built his championship legacy at 170. Du Plessis is returning for the first time since losing his title to Khamzat Crucifying Chimaev. Before that defeat, Dricus had won 9 consecutive UFC fights and the recorded championship victories over Sean Strickland and Israel Adesanya. His style remains one of the strangest puzzles in MMA. He can appear off balance, awkward, and technically imperfect. But he's extremely effective. He closes distance unexpectedly, throws the power from unusual angles, and is willing to transition between striking, wrestling, and grappling without hesitation. Dricus also forces opponents to fight at his pace, which is a very high level. Even when an exchange looks messy, he's usually the fighter initiating the action, pushing forward and creating the physical pressure that only Dricus does. Usman is one of the greatest welterweights in UFC history. At his peak, his combination of wrestling, clinch control, cardio, and improving right hand made him nearly impossible to defend. Usman defended the welterweight championship 5 times before losing to Leon Edwards. He then lost the immediate rematch and accepted a short-notice middleweight fight against Khamzat Chimaev after nearly 2 years away. Usman returned in 2025 and defeated Joaquin Buckley over 5 rounds. He completed 4 takedowns in that fight and demonstrated that his wrestling could still control a younger fighter. The biggest question here is the wrestling works again in natural middleweight as physically strong as Dricus Du Plessis. Usman may actually possess cleaner transitional wrestling technique. He changes level fast. He finishes against the fence and understands how to maintain control without unnecessary risk. But Dricus is extremely difficult to hold down. We thought, but I don't think he's difficult to hold down anymore. I think that if Dricus has been practicing after Khamzat Chimaev held him down and crucified him 45 times, maybe he's been settling in and practicing getting up. That could be a different game. If Dricus has figured out how to get up, that could be crazy. Usman is 39 years old. He's accumulated significant championship mileage, and he has dealt with well-documented knee issues throughout his entire career. However, competing at middleweight may also benefit him. He will not have to remove the final 15 pounds required to make weight. And he looked physically capable during his previous short-notice middleweight appearance against Chimaev. He gave Chimaev a run. Dricus Du Plessis did not. He operates behind a strong jab, throws a powerful straight right, and uses pressure to push his opponents towards the fence. Du Plessis is far less predictable. He will explode forward, combination switch stances, attack the body, and transition directly into takedown attempts. The danger for Usman is being forced into prolonged, ugly exchanges against larger men. The danger for Dricus is giving a disciplined veteran too many opportunities, making a mistake and letting Usman win. If Usman establishes his wrestling early but has to work extremely hard for every takedown, does he still possess the endurance to repeat the strategy in rounds to come? I think Usman definitely can. There's several possible versions of this fight. We could see a technical Usman performance built around jabs, takedowns, and control. We could see Dricus Du Plessis make it physical, force scrambles, and gradually overwhelm the older fighter. Or we could see an extremely competitive 5-round fight where the winner is determined by one takedown or one damage control, and all the fans complain and say it was boring. Say it was dry, it was boring, and they didn't like it. But I think technicality is better than a knockout in some fights, especially with Kamaru Usman and Dricus Du Plessis. It's going to be a long one. I believe it's going to be a long one. For Dricus, the opportunity is to prove that Chimaev lost was one bad night, and he's back. For Usman, this could be a final major run in an incredible career, an opportunity to become a contender in a second division and show why he is one of the greatest of all times. I'm going to pick Kamaru Usman here. I think that Kamaru Usman outclasses Dricus Du Plessis for 5 rounds with his experience, his control, and with his power. I think Kamaru Usman is going to be the winner here, and Dricus is going to have to start figuring something else out, because after Khamzat Chimaev showed his weakness that he can't get up and he can be crucified with every takedown, I think Kamaru Usman is just going to bring too much heat. He's too smart, he's too strong, he's too good at wrestling, he's too much of a veteran to see that weakness and not use it. Kamaru Usman doesn't give a fuck if we say that we wanted a knockout or if we wanted an electrical fight. Kamaru Usman is going to point battle, point win, and go to decision victory. Kamaru Usman is one of the greatest of all time, and I'd love to see Kamaru Usman with a victory here. And I think he outclasses Dricus Du Plessis for 5 rounds and smothers him like a wet blanket, controls him against the cage, gets a couple takedowns, throws some jabs, throws some shots in there. Maybe the crowd brings out some boos because they don't understand a Kamaru Usman fight. But I'm going to enjoy it, and I think it's going to be an awesome time. I think Kamaru Usman wins this fight in Oklahoma City, and let's have a great night. Thanks. Let me know your picks. Let me know who you guys think is going on this card. We've been on a run. We've been hot. We've been on a run. We've been picking all the fighters. We picked a few underdogs on the last fight, and we've been doing good. So you guys let me know who you guys think is going to win every single fight. Like, comment, subscribe, comment in the comments. Let's go. Let's run this video up. Have a great day. Let's enjoy the fights.